All right. Clap one on three. Sorry.
Nope.
One, two, three. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of True Crime and Cocktails. We're so glad that you're here. As always, I am your host, Lauren Ash, and as always, I am joined by my co-hostess with the mostess, Christy Oxborrow. How you feeling?
I mean, great. Because living life, there's no problems. It's weird because it's early, but
Yeah,
it's so early that my brain is like, well, that's naughty. Naughty. Like my instinct was like, naughty girls recording early. Early. Why was that naughty? Naughty's
that's
late.
funny. You would think it would be the reverse if we were
Mm.
recording like super late, then it would be like, oh, bad ladies.
Yeah. I think in my brain, I'm like, am I sneaking this in before the kids get home? They're never gonna know. It's like they don't like I had a conversation with my youngest the other day when I was taking him to sports practice and he essentially it was he seems to think I'm only working
Mm,
when I'm in the office and the light is on, so I'm recording. So in his mind, recording's the only time I ever work. And I'm like, well, when I go in there to work, I'm like, I spend hours, like days on my laptop. I'm like, how I'm like almost always on my laptop. He's like, yeah. I'm like, I'm doing something, writing things to bring to that room with the light on. And he was like, oh, like no clue. So they thought I was working like a day a week, if that. And I'm like, wow, no, because
and you're
oh,
like, excuse me, rude.
that's how it started because I said, um, I said something about, um, how he has it was like, oh, tomorrow's your last day of school for the week. Then you've got a weekend. Isn't that fun? And I'm like, you love a day off? And he's like, yeah. And then I just said, I typically work weekends. And he went, what? And I was like, yeah, I often work 7 days a week. And he went, why? And I was like, understood. And I said, I'm getting better about taking weekends, which is lovely. And it means I've had so many more Muppets brought into my life because now I just spend my weekends watching the Muppets.
Yeah.
And I couldn't think of a better way to spend my time.
Oh, yeah.
I've also come up with this idea, not really like I'm sure 80,000 people have thought of this before, but I'm just like, in the summer,
Hmm.
kids do like camp.
Yeah.
Like that's a very common thing. And I'm like, this summer I want to do art camp. But it's
Oh,
like I want to just like make my own art camp where I give myself a this is the activity I'm going to attempt to accomplish over the course of the entire week. Because I probably won't have like a set time, but I'm just like maybe every weekend I'm like this is my art project for the weekend because I've been jonesing for some art. So you know what this is going to mean? I'm finally going to get to that stamp carving
I love that for you.
because I've been waiting to get to it. And I'm like, I
Yeah.
need a chunk of time because I need to watch the demos first. And then how many of these stamps am I carving that are going to be bird related? The answer, probably all of them. Oh.
I love that when you said, you know how there's day camp or whatever, and I
Mhm.
said yes, or you know how some kids go to camp in the summer, and I said yes, and you said I'm thinking about art camp. I was like, oh, for the children.
No,
No.
my kids used to do art camp.
Yeah.
Not every year, but there was like several years where they were doing some sort of art camp. And I was just like, God, where's like art camp for adults?
I was just gonna say, and I can't remember if we've talked about this, but I did see a video about um musical theater camp for adults.
Oh,
And the
sure.
whole concept was like drama camp for adults. And the whole concept was that it was like, this isn't for people that want to do this as a profession.
Oh, yeah.
This
Hobby
is for
only. Yeah.
people that want to do it for fun. And you do it as a kid, and then it's like, where are those clubs when you're an adult? I think I've always thought it's bullshit. I'm also saying, where are the art camps for adults? That would be, I mean,
Yes.
why not? You shouldn't, those are things that shouldn't only be for kids.
A
I think they should be for
hundred
kids,
percent.
but also like, let's branch out, folks.
100%. Oh, if I, again, once I came up with the thought of like, I want to do like an art camp for like an adult, I was like, if I had the money and the time, I would create a company called art camp or adult art camp or something along those lines. And it would be like we send you a specific art kit where this is your project for the week. And you pick how many weeks you want to go to camp. And it's like maybe one week is mosaics. And then there could be like watercolors. There could be all of these things. I'm jazzed at the idea. I just
And then,
want to do more creative things.
and listen, I know that you're saying this is a do it yourself at home,
Yes,
independent study, essentially,
but
but not
yeah.
but, and there could be an option that at the end of each week, there's a show and tell Zoom with everybody who's done their thing.
Yep.
So you can work at your own pace and there's no pressure to join. You don't have to join the Zoom, but if you want to come in and see what other people created and share yours, I mean, I'm always looking for the social connections.
Of course. And it makes sense to me because you can only show so many people in your family, like, look what I've made. And they're like, oh, yeah. But I mean, do I want to, pop on a Zoom and have like 50 people that are like, I made the same thing. I'm in love with it. And like that sounds lovely. Look at
Right?
us making I mean, that wouldn't be a podcast. So that's not our eighth podcast that we've thought of. This is just, I guess, our second Patreon that we've come up with.
And
Our
listen, I guess
club.
what I'm also
Yeah,
saying is, would I like to volunteer to be the moderator for the weekly panel? Yes, I would.
of course.
I'll keep the show rolling. You know what I mean? Like, well,
Of
it's
course.
like,
My only concern, because my brain is like, okay, well, how do I get started? My only concern is sourcing, like, is it just here's an email of all the things you need, go find them? I mean, I like the idea of like you get sent the projects, so you have maybe a box for a month, and here's your four projects that you do each week or whatever,
yeah, what I'm
you
hearing
know.
is I'm going to need to take 6 to 8 weeks and we're going to need to start sourcing materials and
Mm.
boxing them into kits. And as two people who, I'll say it, don't have a fine art background, so don't really know.
Correct. Correct.
I mean, I'm in. This will be the same time we start publishing our zine.
Yeah, again, I've been saying it for the last few months. Like I'm just itching to do more like sort of like painting or creative like things. And I think it's partially my algorithm is getting like more
Mm,
and more people with like, here's my collection of random shit. Here's how I displayed it. Here I made like a collage out of this. Like I see more and more of that, and my brain is like, I want to do that.
mm.
Like I saw a clip. I don't remember the name, but I think she was an art teacher, and she said that day she was giving her kids like bottle caps, like the like off like a Pepsi bottle or something, like the chunkier bottle cap. And she's like, I gave them a bunch of bottle caps, and I'm like, make something out of it. Figure out like what you can do with it or whatever, because she was showing them how you can make miniatures out of anything. And they like used a bottle cap, turned it upside down, and glued metal strips to it and made a little bar stool. And then it was like, here's it painted and stacked up. It's a little wedding cake. Here's this thing, like all of these things you could do with this small thing. And I'm just like, I like the challenge.
Yeah.
I wanna go for it. I wanna art this bitch. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
And you know what? I'm gonna write down art this bitch. And I'm gonna give myself the task. Christy Lynn, stop yourself now. I'm I'm gonna give myself the task of coming up with like some sort of like collage art. And it's gonna say art this bitch. And I have no concept of how I'm doing this or what it's going to be, but I'm hoping to use found items. And when we check in the next record, we'll have found I haven't started. That's how this works. But I just want more, more. artsy creative outlets. And I'm just like, I would love the idea of using things that would typically get thrown out or that don't really have a purpose or something. Oh, there's gonna be glitter.
There, yeah. I mean, you should just get comfortable now with just being sparkly for the rest of the year.
That is
Because
true.
if you start handling glitter, you know what I mean? Like it's just, I mean, I have glitter on me. I don't even know what it's from. There's like a, well, no, I'm shooting on the baking show right now, and so we put like a body makeup on my arms to give these things a
Oh,
chance
sure.
to pop on camera. And so there's a little shimmer to it. But here's the thing, it sticks like glue. Why? It's glitter. So I've
Of
showered.
course.
I've soaped these arms, soaped them. And there's still a little sheen to it. And what I like is that the glitter then just becomes a part of you. You know what I mean? Now it's a part of me.
Yeah.
Have you seen, and this is real, and I can't believe we've never talked about this. Have you seen the glitter tattoos? Actual
No.
tattoos? Let me see if I can find one. There is and look, I don't know if it's bullshit because now we live in a hellscape where we have to question
Yeah.
everything as being AI.
Yeah.
But I saw there was some people doing them and I was like, that's a dream. Imagine having like a glittery Lisa Frank style art tattoo.
Yeah.
Real, I don't even know what to Google to find this. Glitter real tattoos.
I mean,
Permanent glitter tattoos. There they are.
I've seen tattoos that they do that make them look like they're like a patch. It's like sewn
Yes.
onto your body. I've seen those. Stunning.
Stunning.
Oh God, it's also been a
Oh
long
God,
time since I've had a tattoo. I should get another one.
this is a little grainy, but you can see the technique,
Oh, sure. Sure.
you know?
I get that.
They've got one of them. I think they've got a sea turtle smoking a joint, and is nothing sacred. Get it out of his damn mouth. Oh, here's a better one. Check that out.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
Right?
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
guess it's like a stippling thing they do with different colors, and so it looks like glitter. I was transfixed by these.
Oh, of
I should just
course.
keep saying it at my phone, and then I'm sure the algorithm will hear it, you know?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
I get that. Because all you
Glitter
want is,
tattoo, two
yeah.
years healed. Well, now this is going to tell the real tale. That's the other thing that
Oh.
scares me. You know, you see these tattoos that look so cool, and then the person's like, but 2 years later, ugh.
There is the concern of how's it going to hold up.
And the answer for this one specifically I'm watching, not great.
No kidding.
Yeah, I just kind
Oh,
of blended. That's
huh.
interesting. It really popped at first, and then it just kind of like healed into like more of a blend situation. It's
Oh.
interesting.
And then you
There's got to
don't,
be a way to get that touched up, though, I would say.
I also think you wouldn't want to go constantly, like every year or two, to
No.
have it up, like touched up.
I think also you got to make sure you always go to the right tattoo artist. Spoken as someone who has one she got when she was a teen. Like, what am I? You got to go to the right tattoo artist. Shut the fuck up, lady. Like, why? You're not an expert. You're not an expert.
No, but you're not wrong. You're not, you're not wrong. Again, like, I mean, when I first started to dabble, I was very loyal to the same. I was like, I'm going to the same guy all the time. And then he moved away, closed the shop. So then I was like, I have to find something.
Yeah.
And then I guess essentially I didn't do another one until we were in Vegas. And I'm like, I think I'm gonna get one. And then I kept saying every morning, I think I'm gonna get one. And then I just got one.
Yeah.
And then I did it the next time in Vegas because I was like, we're in Vegas again. Last time I got it, I guess I just get tattoos in Vegas.
Yeah.
So I think you're right that it's like you still want it to be a good one.
Yeah.
Like, who knows what they're doing? And
They do say like the fine
sorry.
line tattoos that are so popular. Like, if you want a fine line tattoo, you should go to somebody who like specializes in fine line
Oh, sure.
because those can spread over time.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Because Ariana Grande has like her hands are covered in those little fine line ones, aren't they?
Yeah. Well, her hands are covered. Yeah.
Because she also got one like on her palm, didn't she?
Yeah. And then I'm just like, how
Oh.
long is she spending in the makeup chair in the morning? See, that's a whole part of why I've never gotten any more tattoos is not because I don't want them. It's because I don't, it's an investment in my future not to, because I don't want to sit there for an
Mhm.
extra half an hour in the morning to get tattoos covered up every day.
Right?
It's a long process.
I bet.
Yeah. Depending on how big they are. But again, with her, it's like, were they covering her entire hands? Like they would have had to have.
Oh, I assume.
Did you
But
hear
I,
too that in Wicked, because Cynthia Erivo has so many ear piercings, that they actually made her prosthetic ears
wow.
to cover her normal ears.
I mean, that was probably better for her then. She didn't have to take any of them out.
Yeah. I just can't imagine wearing prosthetic ears for like 16 hours a day.
Oh, yeah. I I can't imagine wearing most things for 16 hours a day.
Yeah.
Like,
Top of
unless
list, underwear.
I I mean, for me, as you know, for me, bra optional.
Yeah.
Um, but like full on like underoos, like when we're talking like underwear, like bottoms.
Bottoms.
I don't want to say the P word, but
Yeah,
like
we're avoiding it.
lady pants. If when we're talking those, I'm like always. Although I did recently change to a new company and they're some of the softest material that's touched my body. And I'm just like, I'm slowly trying to like completely switch over to them.
See, you know what's so funny is I don't like leaving the home.
Yeah.
I can't leave the home without a bra. Like I don't
Oh,
like it. Even in the
mm.
home, I like feeling secure in there. But
Oh,
down
sure.
south, let me flap in the wind. You know what I mean? Like
Here,
just I'm fine. I'll go commando almost anytime.
I just envision you stepping outside in obviously shorts, knowing there's nothing underneath, and there's a wind, and you hear like a harmonica. Oh, inappropriate. Here's the thing, or a kazoo. Oh,
Yeah.
that would be beautiful. Here's the thing. Um, if we were ever of similar size, which we've never been, um, that would have been the moment where you get the tops, I get the bottoms.
Yeah.
Like that would have been a beautiful thing. Um, Here's the thing. To leave the house, I make sure the girls are locked in
Yeah.
because if I typically don't like to put a bra on right after a shower. And so if it's one of those like I've showered, but I'm like gonna run to 7-Eleven, I might like extra large hoodie and just move on with my life. But I'll feel uncomfortable the entire time.
Mm.
The boobs need to be fully locked in. And then for years, like the first few years of having kids, I was like, as long as the kids are awake, I'm wearing a bra. Like I'm never topless, but I'm even just in pajamas. I'm like, I want to be like fully covered. And then since over the last like few years, I'm just like, I think my shits are gone. Like I just don't care. And I just I just don't care.
Yeah.
Let the boobs out. They're tired.
Right.
They're exhausted. Because it's always like one of those Pillsbury cans where I take the bra off and you just get like, you know what I mean? And it's that moment where I inevitably just go, oh, yeah, like I need that. So if you think, even though this is an early record,
Mm.
that when we're done, I'm not going to have a shower and then just no bra it for the rest of the day, even though it's going to be early, that's absolutely what's going to happen.
Good for you, man.
Yeah. I think this week I've like hit something next level of just like, I'm getting closer to 50. I think I lost one of my fucks. Like, I think I just don't care as much anymore about certain things. I care way too much about a lot of things. Um, for example, I did grocery shopping today,
Sure.
and the grocery store is doing that thing where they rearranged the entire store
No.
after years of it being the same way. Um, and I know typically they will rearrange right before a holiday, but not like the entire store, but they'll rearrange certain things just to fuck with people. And I know people are like, oh, that sounds like a conspiracy type thing. No, they genuinely do it because they want when people come in to go, instead of going to their usual aisles to get, I'm only here to pick up, I don't know, canned pumpkin or something. I'll go to the aisle. I know it is. Well, if it's not there, then it means you're going to go down other aisles, which means you might buy more things
Mm.
than what you planned. And so I know that's absolutely a thing. It's been like noted somewhere that they typically do a big thing like that right before a big holiday, and it's just a fuck you to customers. Well, this store is now altering so many things. So now they've changed almost the entire store and they've moved the aisles just a little bit narrower.
That's
And so when you walk in, the aisles are now taller and just you feel like it's closing in on you. So the whole time I'm freaking out because I'm like, I just feel like I'm being closed in on. And they've now fully like moved things like toilet paper is now across from like chips or
what?
something. And I'm like, why are toilet paper and chips together? What are we doing? And then they're like, oh, do you want candy? You're gonna have to go to the aisle with the garbage bags. I'm like, what is happening? I'm, oh, I lost my mind because
This feels like a prank.
right? I
Yeah.
went, I took a picture of all the signs to tell me what was down each aisle, and I have that as a list somewhere. And every time I make my grocery list, I look at that list and put my list in order so we can do the aisles we need to do in the right order, get everything, and be done with it. But now it's chaos. Did I look for cameras in that store? And if I found one, I would look at it, shake my fist, and yell, fuck you, Galen Weston. I did. Because I am sick of that man, the money he's making, and the fuckery he is causing for the regular shopper. So
Now,
I,
do we think this is a Galen Weston mandate? Confuse them. Do you think that that's
oh,
what he's in his
I'm,
ivory tower saying,
I am
"Put the chips
convinced.
with the shit tickets." Like, is that what's going on?
I am absolutely convinced that this whole thing is all done because I'm not specifically for me. I think it's once a store has been there because our this store had been laid out this way for like a decade, if not longer. And so I feel like they're like, well, now people are only going to certain aisles that they regularly shop at. They're not going to everyone. So now they're
Mm.
spreading things out and mixing it up. So now I have to go down every damn aisle. And they're also they took spaces that used to be like fairly open and they've crammed in small aisles. So now it just aisles everywhere. And so I'm like, I'll go to the area of the store where I used to get like stationary stuff if I was buying it here. And I go there and suddenly it's like pet food, but then you turn a corner and now you're trapped in menswear. And I'm like, what's happening? Like they've completely changed the store and I hate it. I hate it. And I blame Galen Weston in his ivory tower. He can't even hear me all the way up there in that tower. He has too much money for what he should. He shouldn't have that
Yeah.
much money.
Yeah.
And with like again, that same store, and I'm talking real Canadian Superstore, and I have no problem saying that.
Name it. Just fucking name it, man. Let's just be
Because I
wild
did.
and free, you know?
Here's the thing. They had this pack of slices of turkey pepperoni. We used to buy them all the time because I would always use them when we made homemade pizza. The kids had no idea they were turkey pepperoni. Loved it. They were the like perfectly little thin slices. Sometimes the kids would just have them as snacks. Like we love these things. And this little package, I don't even know, I want to say maybe 300 grams ish. It was like $3. And it was the right price. It was right, all of this, everything. We show up. It is now $5.99. If you think that I'm not going to burn that ivory tower down over doubling the price of my turkey pepperoni,
I
you're wrong.
just I just need you to know that you have brought up that turkey pepperoni to me so many times.
That's how
And I
angry
think
I am. Yeah.
I think you may have mentioned it on the show before. And what
Oh,
I
I'm
have to
sure
say,
I have.
what I have to say to this is, you know what? Let's get our axes. Let's hack that ivory tower down and make this man answer for what he's done. Because
Yeah.
what I'm hearing is that turkey pepperoni's in your soul, and this is an
Mhm.
injustice. And God damn it, we're not going to take
Yeah.
it lying down no more.
I'm not gonna let this go, Galen. I'm not. I'm so angry about it. Also, went to get because beef's been so crazy priced, I haven't been making my own burgers. So I'm like, I'll get if we're gonna do burgers, let's just buy some frozen ones. $27. $27 for anywhere between 6 to 8 burgers. And I'm like,
That's lunacy.
$27?
That's a problem.
Soup
It's
is
a
over
problem.
$2. A fucking Campbell's soup for 2.75. Get out. Oh, I'm over it. I'm so over it. And I know that food prices are only going to get worse and all of the above. I mean, was it really so long ago that I was yelling about lime prices?
No.
But turkey pepperoni, I'm just, it's to the point where we've had to like, we only buy it if we're going to make pizza. We no longer buy it as part of like the little bento style lunch boxes that we send the kids. I'm like, well, I guess that's no longer. Way to take that away from our kids.
Okay, this is what we do. We
Hmm.
hack our way into the ivory tower.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't
Yeah.
know what kind of weaponry we have, but I'm feeling like the end of Terminator 2 when they're in the building and like the police are there, like it's going to
Hmm.
be a lot of manpower, a
Yeah.
lot of firepower, okay? And unfortunately
Hmm.
the children are involved. Unfortunately they are involved because you need to shove their faces in that man's face and say,
Yeah.
"Tell him. Tell him why he can't have his turkey
Yeah.
pepperoni."
Oh, 100%. Again, like I'm not like I know people are probably like, God, she's on her back on her turkey pepperoni bullshit. But I mean, imagine living with this, folks. Every time we go grocery shopping, we get near the soup aisle, and my husband hesitates because he knows the second I turn my head and see the price of soup, I'm gonna lose my mind, especially if it's on sale because I'll go, that's the sale price. That used to be a regular price at best. And like, I won't let it go. Certain items, I feel like they've stayed the same price wise. I'm also trying to think there was something recently I went to buy and I was like, that can't be the real price. And I was just so in shock. I love that I was so in shock. I love that I can't even remember what it was, but apparently the turkey pepperoni is what won't leave me.
Listen, again, it's a part of you.
Yeah. I mean, also in the meat area, in like their deli meat, they used to have these packages. It was like 500 grams or something, and it was the label said always $5. And then, oh, we split the packages in half, and now you get a package that's 250 grams. And they're like, great news, they're only $3. And I'm like, but you fuckers, I'm smart enough to do that math to know that you're fucking me over. I just want you to know the episode we're about to get into has so much rage in it
Mm.
for me. And I think I worked on it late last night, so I think that rage is still in there. And then you combine that with getting up very early this morning to grocery shop and find out that my store is turned around. And I was so upset being there. And then the prices of things, like I think, I think the rage is just here to stay.
Well, listen, um, if there's anything we like on True Crime and Cocktails, it's Rageful Christie. Usually it's against a
Yeah.
man. Who knows? I mean, I guess the grocery ultimately is against a man, Galen Weston. How many
Yeah.
times can we mention him in this episode? Let's see. I don't know. Maybe we'll trigger something in an algorithm. You know what I mean? We'll get this thing to him. We'll get it to him, and he'll have to commit to listening
Yeah.
to at least 30 minutes in order to get the whole vibe. But you know what? Maybe he'll be ending up being a fan. I don't know.
If I end up somehow getting a cooler of turkey pepperoni sent to my home, I don't even know what I'm gonna do.
I do. I do. You're going to get a kiddie pool. You're going to fill it through those turkey peps, and then you're going to dive in there like Scrooge McDuck in the opening credits of DuckTales. A woo!
This is starting to sound like like performance art, and we're just gonna call ourselves Feminine Rage.
And if we're coming back around, let this be the first inspiration for week one of Art This Bitch.
I can't wait. I
Well,
My goal is by the time we record next,
yeah,
I'm gonna be like, I made this,
I
and
can't
then I mean,
wait.
that's my hope.
Do you want a deadline? Would that help you? You want me to give you a hard deadline?
Well, that's the problem. I don't know. Would a hard deadline help? Yes, but I'm worried it'll stress me out so bad that I won't let the creative juices go.
Okay.
So, but
Yep.
then I'm like, but I also need it. But then I'm like, but I don't know.
How about this? The deadline is we need a status update.
Oh,
Doesn't the piece doesn't have to be finished,
geez.
but you have to have done something.
Yeah. Oh, I can do that.
Even if it's just ideating.
Yeah. Oh, I can handle that.
All right. Well then, let the gauntlet be thrown. Tune in next week to for an update on Art This Bitch. What you drinking over there?
Oh, I'm doing a Slurpee early in the day. That's probably why it's naughty.
Well, you're no naughty Slurpee drinker. I've only got water because it's later where I am, and I've
Sure.
had too much caffeine. I've had
Mm,
many Diet Cokes because today has just been a bit of a bear. Just running around. Anyway, it's like when you have one day off out of like 12, then you're trying to jam in a lot of bullshit. You know what I mean?
yeah.
This is not bullshit. I'm talking about life bullshit, like
Oh, 100%.
errands and shit. Anyway,
Yeah.
I couldn't be happy. I couldn't be gladder.
You're
Losing
doing great.
losing the English language. This week we're talking about American Nightmare. This is the April patrons poll pick over on patreon.com. If you visit us over there, patreon.com/sugarcrumandcocktails. One of the things we offer our subscribers is to vote in a monthly poll that decides one of the episodes we cover on the main feed of the show. And this was the pick for April, so we're gonna get into it now. In March 2015, an intruder broke into Aaron Quinn's home in the middle of the night and abducted Aaron's girlfriend, Denise Huskins. But when Aaron went to the police, they thought his story was too wild to be true, so they outright accused Aaron of Denise's murder. But when Denise was found unharmed just 2 days later, police started to believe that the entire thing was just an elaborate hoax created by a woman looking for attention. Aaron and Denise were both adamant that they were telling the truth, but it would take several months and another city's police force before anyone would believe them. So, what really happened to Denise Huskins and Aaron Quinn? Was there really an abduction in the middle of the night? Or were police right and the entire thing was just a lie? Christy Oxborrow investigates.
I've already warned you, I'm going to get mad in this
I can't wait.
because when it comes down to the only person that's going to believe you is a woman, oh.
Well, it's not a shock.
Oh, it's not. It just wowzer. So, today's episode takes place in Vallejo, California. But I have already enthralled you with fun facts about California. But I love doing the fun facts so much. So I tried to find some fun facts specifically about Vallejo, which is 32 miles north of San Francisco. Vallejo was the first permanent home for California's state government and is the current home to Six Flags Discovery Kingdom, which is the only wildlife, marine life, and thrill ride park in North America. Vallejo Neighborhood Mare Island was home to the first U.S. naval station on the West Coast. The station was in use from 1854 until 1996. Vallejo has also been used as the backdrop for various movies, including Zodiac, Bumblebee, 51st Dates, Patch Adams, and Flubber. Also filmed in Vallejo, the TV series 13 Reasons Why, which starred Dylan Minnette, who has done movies with such Hollywood heavyweights as Vince Vaughn in Fred Claus, Jack Black in Goosebumps, and Neve Campbell in Scream. Dylan Minnette also starred in the TV series Saving Grace opposite Holly Hunter, who was in the 1987 movie Raising Arizona with Nicolas Cage.
There it is.
There it is. Some famous people born in Vallejo: Sylvester Stewart, aka Sly Stone, frontman of Sly and the Family Stone; NASCAR champion Jeff Gordon, who I was inexplicably obsessed with in high school; hip hop legend E40, who spearheaded the mob music movement in the 90s. I am not nearly cool enough to know what mob music movement is or was. So a quick internet search tells me it was characterized by slow, bass-heavy beats and deep storytelling. Actor Wesley Mann, who not only played Dan Aykroyd's assistant in 1988, My Stepmother is an Alien, he also played the caterpillar in the early 90s series Adventures in Wonderland.
Hmm.
That, for some reason, I thought was Canadian production. It was not. Also born in Vallejo, baseball player Tug McGraw, who is father of country music stud Tim McGraw, who I was obsessed with in the early 2000s, although I feel like that one is pretty self-explanatory. Also born in Vallejo, Joey Chestnut, who currently holds 55 world records in competitive eating. No offense, I had no idea who Joey Chestnut was, but the second I said his name out loud in my home, my oldest replied, "That competitive eating guy?" So clearly I'm living under a rock because I had no idea. But I read through Mr. Chestnut's list of records. They are as impressive as they are stomach turning. We do not have time to get to all of them, but the following is a list of the records that he currently holds. I specifically chose records that he got in just 10 minutes, keeping in mind each food group he consumed in 10 minutes. And these were all at different events, of course. 53 soft beef Taco Bell tacos, 5.9 pounds of funnel cake, 47 grilled cheese sandwiches,
Oh,
118 jalapeno poppers, 76 hot dogs and buns, 28 pounds of poutine, 23 6-inch Philly cheesesteak sandwiches, 62 pulled pork sliders, and 81 4-ounce mutton sandwiches. Joey's most recent record was set on May 9th, 2026, where he consumed 16 pounds of pepperoni slices in 10 minutes.
but was it turkey pepperoni?
I bet it wasn't. It would change his life. You don't know that it's not regular pepperoni. Why am I pushing for the turkey pep industry? I don't know.
You like the product. You like
I
what you
do.
like.
I like the product and I'm enraged. But adding a touch of true crime to this, just days ago, literally on May 19th, Joey Chestnut pleaded guilty to battery following a drunken altercation in March. Joey was sentenced to 180 days of probation, meaning he will be available to defend his hot dog eating title at the 4th of July hot dog eating contest in Coney Island. I can't think of anything I'd rather watch less than competitive eating. Again, I remind you, the eating contest scene in Stand By Me scared me as a child, so I am not built for watching it. I also worry that the competitive eating would make me lose a love of certain foods. So I just think the entire competition, whether part of it or just viewing it, isn't for me. And that's okay. Not everything is for everybody. But if competitive eating is something you're into, I love that for you.
Yeah.
Now, on to the big show, which means a disclaimer. This episode will contain mentions of rape, suicide, and child sexual abuse, so trigger warning for those who need it. As part of my research for this episode, I watched the 2024 Netflix documentary American Nightmare and read an article by Katya Savchuk called A Crime Beyond Belief. If you're interested in more about this case, I recommend Katya's article. You can find it at magazine.atavist.com. She has a lot more deeper into certain things than even the documentary did. So on March 23rd, 2015, at 1:53 p.m., Aaron Quinn called 911 to report that his girlfriend, Denise Huskins, had been abducted from Aaron's home in Mare Island, Vallejo. Aaron said that someone entered his house in the middle of the night, tied them up, and then left with Denise. He said that he didn't call earlier because the intruder had given him sedatives, so he had passed out. Aaron also claimed the intruder installed a security camera in the house and tied Aaron to a chair directly in front of the camera and then used duct tape to make a large square around the chair. Aaron said he was told he was being watched, and if he left that duct taped square, Denise would be harmed. When police arrived on scene, they noted a security camera and the square of duct tape on the floor. However, they didn't believe Aaron's story about an intruder because there was no sign of forced entry and the carpets looked freshly vacuumed and the entire top floor of the house was said to have a strong scented odor as though things had been recently cleaned. Police also noted that the comforter was missing from Aaron's bed and there was what appeared to be a small blood stain on one of the sheets. So police were pretty quick to assume that Aaron had done something to Denise and that he'd concocted this elaborate story to try and cover up his crime. Aaron was taken to the police station under the guise of a simple interview, but it turned into more like an interrogation. They had him stripped down completely, telling him, well, they need his clothes for evidence. And then they gave him the same clothes that they would normally give a detainee, claiming they just had nothing else to give him. They took blood and DNA samples from Aaron. They got a copy of his fingerprints. And at this point, this makes sense because statistically speaking, when a woman goes missing, a current or former partner is often responsible. And while Aaron was being held, police did a massive search for Denise in the area, including in the water surrounding Mare Island, but there was no sign of her. So Aaron's full story. So Aaron Quinn was a 30-year-old physical therapist. He started dating 29-year-old Denise Huskins shortly after Aaron ended an engagement in August 2014. Awkwardly, Aaron's ex, Andrea Roberts, was also a physical therapist, so the three of them worked at the same hospital in the same rehab unit. So I can't imagine that's comfortable. Aaron said he broke things off with Andrea when he discovered that she had been cheating on him. So Aaron and Denise start dating, but Aaron wasn't fully over Andrea, so he stayed in contact with her, sending her text messages suggesting he might want to get back together. According to Aaron, in February 2015, Denise saw those text messages and it caused a huge fight. On the night Denise was taken, she had arrived at Aaron's house around 6 p.m. They had dinner and drinks and they talked about their relationship. Aaron apologized for the messages and said that he had started going to therapy, which helped him realize he was in love with Denise and not Andrea. So around midnight, Aaron made sure that the doors and windows were locked, and the couple headed upstairs to bed. About 3 hours later, Aaron said he woke up to a blinding light pulsing from the corner of the room and a crackling sound like a taser or a stun gun. A man dressed in all black said, "This is a robbery. We are not going to hurt you." He then told Aaron and Denise to roll over and lie face down. When Aaron didn't respond, the man said, "Aaron, you're not turning over." So not only has someone broken into the house, but they also know Aaron's name, which makes it even more terrifying to me. The intruder then used zip ties on both Aaron and Denise's wrists, and Denise was removed from the room. Swim goggles with blacked out lenses were placed over Aaron's eyes, and headphones were put over Aaron's ears. He said there was music playing and it was incredibly peaceful. It sounded kind of just like wind chimes. The intruder said he was going to take Aaron's blood pressure, and to keep Aaron calm, the intruder was going to give him a sedative. Aaron was then force-fed NyQuil and taken to the living room where he was tied to a chair and his ankles were bound with duct tape. The intruder left Aaron alone for a while before coming back to say there was a problem and that the abduction was meant for Andrea, Aaron's ex-fiancée. The intruder said they were going to take Denise anyway, and they would ask for a ransom to make it worth their while. Aaron was told cameras had been set up in the room so that they could keep an eye on his movements, and if he went outside the square of duct tape that had been placed on the floor, Denise would be harmed. The intruder told Aaron to wait until sunrise, then call in sick to work and text Denise's boss that she wouldn't be in as she was dealing with a family emergency. He said that he was going to take Aaron's car, and the intruder said he'd contact Aaron in a few hours to let him know where the car was so Aaron could use it to go to the bank to get the ransom money. The intruder then asked Aaron if he was comfortable. Aaron asked for a blanket, to which the intruder said, "Oh, yes, I forget how cold it is because we're wearing wetsuits." From the best I can tell, the intruder gave Aaron a blanket and left the house. Aaron said he heard his car trunk shut, the engine start, and the garage door open. He managed to get the swim goggles off his face by using the armrest of the chair, and he saw a clock which read 5 a.m. before he passed out. When he woke up, it was around 11:30 in the morning. Aaron said he saw a camera mounted in the corner of a room and a square of red tape around the chair he was sitting in. Aaron said his instinct was to call 911 immediately, but he worried he was being watched and didn't want Denise to get hurt. So he did as he was told. He contacted work and said neither him nor Denise would be in. He managed to get out of the zip ties. He hopped to the kitchen where he used scissors to cut the duct tape from his ankles. When Aaron checked the house, he noticed that Denise was missing, as were Aaron's car, his laptop, and $200 in cash. Aaron then received an email telling him to withdraw $8,500 from two different bank accounts because the intruder didn't want to trigger the $10,000 reporting limit. A second email arrived to tell Aaron if the bank questioned the withdrawals, Aaron was meant to tell them he was buying a ski boat. Aaron wanted to call 911 but was worried he was being watched. He eventually broke down and contacted his brother, who was an FBI agent. The brother said, "Call 911 right now." During their search for Denise, police found Aaron's car abandoned in a parking lot just a few minutes from the house. Now, I get it. The story sounds incredibly far-fetched. Men in wetsuits broke into your house in the middle of the night, tied you up, drugged you, and before leaving, asked if you were comfortable before they left. It seems like the plot of a movie, not something that could really happen. And to the Vallejo police, they thought it was just an elaborate story to try and cover for the fact that Aaron had done something to Denise. They believed that during an argument about Aaron's communication with his ex, that things got heated and Denise was killed. I fucking hate this man. Detective Matthew Mustard. Yes, Mustard is his real surname, was the lead investigator on the case. And when he spoke to Aaron during the initial interview, he said, and I quote, I'm a puzzle maker, and I put a lot of puzzles together. So now I get out my puzzle pieces and I start figuring out how do I make it so you look like a monster? Which to me, an inexperienced civilian, doesn't sound like someone looking for the truth about what happened, but rather someone looking for evidence to suit the narrative that they believe, whether it's the truth or not. And just to give you an idea about Detective Mustard, prior to this case, he allegedly withheld exculpatory evidence in a criminal trial and tried to pressure a forensic pathologist to rule a death a homicide despite a lack of evidence. I believe his exact words to the pathologist were, what will it take for you to call this a homicide? So I guess once Mustard comes up with a theory, he'll do whatever he needs to make the evidence match. Allegedly. Detective Mustard interviewed Aaron Quinn about the abduction of Denise Huskins. Mustard was very clear that he didn't believe for a second that Denise had been taken. Mustard said he believed Denise was dead and kept screaming in Aaron's face, demanding to know what Aaron had done with the body. Aaron denied it and said that he wanted a lawyer. And by the time his lawyer got involved, Aaron had been held for 18 hours. And during that time, around 4:30 in the morning, the FBI came in to administer a lie detector test. And afterwards, Agent Peter French told Aaron, there's no question in my mind that you failed this test. So was it an accident or are you a calculated monster? So it's clear the investigators didn't buy the abduction story at all. They also interviewed Aaron's ex, Andrea Roberts, who said while their relationship ended on very bad terms, she believed Aaron would be open to getting back together, which just further solidified what police believed was Aaron's motive. And while I understand questioning Aaron, it also feels like the police went too far. But of course, since an attractive blonde woman was missing, the press surrounded the area, making Denise Huskins headline news. One of those reporters was Henry Lee, an investigative journalist with the San Francisco Chronicle. Henry was speaking with a group of reporters on March 24th when he received an email. The subject line was Denise. The email appeared to be sent by an account owned by Aaron Quinn. The email stated that Denise would be returned safely the following day and that any advance on us or our associates will create a dangerous situation. The email also contained a link to an audio clip of a woman who said, my name is Denise Huskins and I'm kidnapped. Otherwise, I'm fine. To further confirm her identity, Denise said the first concert she ever attended was Blink-182 and Bad Religion. And to prove the date of the recording, Denise said that a plane crash had occurred in the Alps that morning and that 150 people had lost their lives. And that is true. On the morning of March 24th, Germanwings Flight 9525 departed from Spain en route to Germany when it crashed northwest of Nice in the French Alps. Everyone on board was killed, including 144 passengers and 6 crew. Sadly, the crash was intentional, as the first officer purposely did not tell the airline he had recently been treated for suicidal tendencies and declared unfit to work. When the captain stepped out of the cockpit, the first officer locked the door and set the plane into a descent directly towards a mountain. It is horrifying and heartbreaking all around. So journalist Henry Lee receives this audio clip, so he sends it to the police, who bring in Denise's mother to confirm that yes, the voice on the recording is in fact Denise. On March 25th at 9:09 in the morning, approximately 52 hours after she was taken, Denise Huskins was found in Huntington Beach, California, obviously, which is about 423 miles southeast of Vallejo. Denise was seen on security cameras calmly walking to her father's home, as Denise had been raised in Huntington Beach. When her father didn't answer the door, a neighbor saw Denise and took her in, and they contacted Denise's father. Police in Huntington Beach were sent to speak with Denise. Her description of the events on the night of her abduction were the exact same as Aaron's, including waking up to bright flashing lights, being forced to drink NyQuil, and blackout swim goggles placed over her eyes, the calming wind chime music that was played, and the man who claimed to be wearing a wetsuit. The man walked Denise out of the house and put her in the trunk of Aaron's car. They drove for a brief time before she was transported to the trunk of a second vehicle. Denise said the second car was really loud and she thought it sounded like a Mustang. Denise said she passed out, and when she was let out of the trunk, she could smell pine trees. She was taken into a house and held in a room with cardboard covering the windows and nothing in the room but a queen-size bed. Denise was forced to keep the goggles on, and her hands were zip-tied to the headboard. During her captivity, the abductor told Denise he was working with three associates, and together they had a black market company that kidnaps people for money. He then said that Aaron had been given instructions for payment, so Denise would likely be released in 48 hours. The man also revealed that he suffered from PTSD and insomnia, which he got while serving in the military. The abductor claimed that he had entered Aaron's home 5 times in the months leading up to the abduction, including a time where he just stood outside the bedroom door on a night when Denise was over.
Jesus.
The abductor then admitted that Denise wasn't the intended target, saying, "This wasn't meant for you. This was meant for Andrea," as in Aaron's ex-fiancée. Andrea had been living with Aaron up until August 2014 and had long blonde hair, just like Denise. The abductor served Denise pizza and wine and put on a French film as though they were on some kind of strange date. The abductor told her, "I wish we had met under different circumstances. You are an incredible person." At some point, Denise told the abductor she was originally from Huntington Beach. So after holding her for 2 days, he said he was going to let her go, but that he'd drop her off near her father's house in Huntington Beach because he knew police would be on the lookout in Vallejo. For the final time in the car, the abductor put Denise in the front seat and taped her eyes shut, concealing the tape with a pair of sunglasses. When the abductor let Denise go, he gave her tennis shoes and a water bottle. The idea that someone takes you and then they're like, "I'm sending you off, take your snacks."
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what's going on. Um, After giving details about what had happened to her, and since she had been taken, Denise was then asked by a police officer if she had been sexually assaulted. Denise said no. She said throughout her captivity, she was mostly treated well. She was given food and water and allowed to shower privately. Denise described her abductor as about 6 feet tall and lean. After Denise gave her side of the story, police suggested they might be able to offer her immunity, but she didn't understand why she would need immunity. So she contacted a lawyer, Doug Rappaport, who instructed her to not speak with police again. It was one of those, you've talked to them once, great, you're done. You don't need to talk to them again. But of course, since Denise requested a lawyer, the police suggested that Denise had done something wrong. Detective Mustard suggested that Denise disappeared on purpose for the sake of attention. He asked Denise's mother about Denise's history, her childhood, any boyfriends she dated, her drinking habits, etc. Her mother said that Denise had been molested when she was 12 years old, and Mustard had the gall to say that women who are assaulted often fake it happening a second time to, and I quote, "relive the thrill of it."
Well,
Hmm.
I hope he chokes.
Hmm. I really think of everybody in this, he's where my anger goes.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Now I could assume that he means the thrill of the attention they received after the fact, not the thrill of the actual attack. But either way, I'm not a fan, Mr. Mustard. Um, which sounds like the character on a Saturday morning cartoon, if I'm being honest.
Well, it's all Colonel Mustard
Yeah.
in the police interrogation room with the audacity, you know?
Thank
It's
you so much. Beautifully done. I also thought, even as a kid, I was like, Colonel Mustard. And I'm like, Mustard's a ridiculous name. They really didn't even try. I had no idea there were real mustards. Like, I didn't know there were people mustards.
yeah.
Anyway, so since Denise was essentially dropped off near her childhood home, physically unharmed, police believed the entire abduction was a hoax. 12 hours after Denise was found, the Vallejo Police Department held a press conference in which they stated they hadn't been able to substantiate any of the claims that Aaron made about the home invasion, and they had only spoken to Denise briefly before she hired a lawyer, so police came to the conclusion the entire thing was fake. To be clear, nothing to substantiate Aaron's story? At the house, police found the camera, zip ties, blacked out swim goggles, and the square of red duct tape on the floor. But according to then Police Chief Andrew Bidu, those weren't so much proof of a home invasion, but rather props that Aaron used to back up his own story. And the fact that Denise had the exact same details as Aaron, despite not speaking to Aaron since her abduction, well, according to police, that wasn't proof they were telling the truth. It was just more lies. And since Aaron had admitted that his ex had caused problems in their relationship, police believed Denise was a real life Gone Girl, which was a book written in 2012 by Gillian Flynn about a woman who fakes her own disappearance and frames her cheating husband before miraculously reappearing. A movie about the book was released in October 2014, less than 6 months before Denise's disappearance. But of course, the dear people know all about Gone Girl because I mentioned it multiple times during the Sherry Papini episodes that we recently did. Just a reminder that Sherry Papini's disappearance occurred in November 2016 in Redding, which is about 187 miles north of Vallejo. Sherry eventually admitted that her objection was fake and she was charged with lying to a federal agent and sent to prison. Sherry, of course, has since claimed the entire thing was in fact real. Is it possible Sherry heard about this case and that somehow inspired her potential abduction? Who knows? I also wonder if Sherry's case was taken more seriously because of the outcome of Denise's case. But for more on Sherry Papini, check out episodes 255 and 256, because, yeah, that was a two-parter. So Police Chief Bidu, which also does not sound real, later admitted that after Denise was found, it took Vallejo police less than half an hour to decide the entire thing was a hoax. Less than 30 minutes. Now that's some top-notch investigating, boys. At the Vallejo Police press conference, Lieutenant Kenny Park said, quote, "The statement that Mr. Quinn provided was such an incredible story, we initially had a hard time believing it. Upon further investigation, we were not able to substantiate any of the things he was saying. Given the facts that have been presented thus far, this event appears to be an orchestrated event and not a kidnapping." Park also stated that Aaron and Denise, quote, plundered valuable resources from our community while instilling fear amongst our community members. So, if anything, it is Miss Huskins that owes this community an apology. Lieutenant Park then suggested that Aaron and Denise might be formally charged for lying to a federal agent. After contacting lawyer Doug Rappaport, Denise traveled to San Francisco to meet with him, where she told him everything about her abduction, including the fact that she was raped twice, and told if she told the police about it, her and her family's lives would be at risk. The abductor told her, "We will always be watching." Denise said that she was molested once when she was 12 and again when she was 19. After the first incident, she was too scared to come forward, but after the second, she went to the police, who told her it wasn't worth reporting because the whole thing was just he said, she said. So it's not surprising that after dealing with another assault, that Denise didn't feel comfortable telling the police when they'd already let her down once before. Denise told her lawyer that the abductor mostly left her alone, but hours after getting into the house, he came into the room and told her, "We have a problem." The abductor then proceeded to tell Denise they needed to have sex with her and film it so that if she ever went to the police, they could release the video and claim it was consensual. The abductor said he didn't want to do it, but he had to do it. He also said he was the one chosen from the group for the task. Denise said she just disassociated and waited for it to be over. The next morning, the abductor told Denise they had lost contact with Aaron and he would have to give her more sedatives because his associates were coming and they weren't as nice as he was. The abductor then said they needed proof of life to send to the police and told her to say her name, give a fact about herself, and mention the plane crash in the French Alps. Later that second day, the abductor told Denise he had bad news. The footage that they recorded of the rape wasn't good enough because it didn't look consensual. So they had to do it again because it needed to look like they were having an affair. He gave Denise a glass of wine and two mini bar sized bottles of alcohol. She said she tried not to make a sound because she just wanted it to be over. When Denise's lawyer heard the truth, he told Denise that they needed to get a rape exam done as soon as possible. But the police were only willing to do that after Denise came to speak with them a second time, so she agreed. Thankfully, this time her lawyer went with her. The interviewing officers included Detective Mustard and FBI agent David Sesma. Mustard told Denise that their goal in this case was to see her come home safe. And to that I say, dude, you thought she was dead by the time you got the case. You never once thought she was ever going to return home safely. Denise then went into details about the rape, saying that she played along because she didn't know what else to do. She was simply trying to survive. And these bullshit men had the audacity to ask Denise why she didn't scream or fight back.
Ugh.
Speaking of which, um, just things that I am just enraged with about this entirely. David Sesma, the FBI agent that was part of this investigation, turns out that years earlier he dated Andrea Roberts, Aaron's ex-fiance, who was also the abductor's intended victim. And I know that I'm not a police officer or anything, but this feels like a massive conflict of interest to me. Doug Rappaport, Denise's lawyer, questioned it as well, to the point he wrote to the Office of Inspector General to explain the situation, and they responded, quote, "The appropriate authorities found this conduct unproblematic."
Ugh.
It's not like there's one FBI agent. Like you could find others.
Believe it or not, they do try to keep more than one person on the payroll at all times. Yeah.
And certainly there's got to be one that never dated her. So, oh my God. So the following day, Denise is interrogated by the FBI. They told her her story was inconsistent and reminded her it was a crime to lie to a federal agent. Doug Rappaport then asked, how could they possibly believe Denise was lying? And Agent Sesma said, quote, "Haven't you seen the movie Gone Girl?"
Gross.
Like, he knows it's just a movie, right? like movies that are meant to entertain and not act as how-to guides. But speaking of Gone Girl, according to Denise Huskin's mother, when Detective Mustard asked her to listen to the audio clip to identify Denise's voice the day after she was taken, the detective told her to go watch the movie Gone Girl to, quote, understand the situation. If this is true, did Mustard believe that Denise faked her own kidnapping at that point? Or did he
What?
believe Aaron had killed her? Pick a
Great
fucking
question.
lane, Mustard. If nothing else, the only saving grace is that his name is so ridiculous. It takes my anger from like aneurysm inducing to just lowers it. Just
Yeah.
enough.
Yep. Just a scotch.
Just a safe zone of anger. So, 2 days after the police press conference, where Lieutenant Kenny Park outright accused Denise and Aaron of lying, journalist Henry Lee receives an email with the subject Denise Huskin's kidnapping. In the email, the supposed abductor outright confesses to the crime and seems kind of angry that Denise is being called a liar. The abductor added the detail that they used a white Mustang convertible during the crime, claiming they stole the car from a local medical student who was known for speeding. They wrote, quote, "We took it and maybe saved a neighborhood kid or dog." As you may recall, Denise said one of the vehicles used sounded like a Mustang. And if this isn't enough, with that email, the sender included photos of the gun used in the attack, which turned out to be a toy Nerf gun, spray painted black with a flashlight and a laser pointer taped to either side. Henry Lee forwarded the email on to the police, who did not respond. And since they didn't respond, well, Henry Lee kept receiving new emails, including one where the sender claimed, quote, "We are three acquaintances, two of which are college graduates." The email claimed the trio started stealing cars as a, quote, contrast to the office doldrums, described themselves as, quote, a sort of Ocean's 11 gentleman criminals, or, quote, like something out of a Clockwork Orange, up to the point without the ultraviolence.
Then not that. Like,
Yeah,
what a
yeah,
stupid thing to
that's
say.
the whole thing about Clockwork Orange is how extreme that violence was. Um, According to the email, the group broke into homes on Mare Island to steal personal information, car keys, and anything they could use to fool investigators. You know, like loose hair they could leave at other crime scenes. They also claimed to have once scared a peeping Tom off a roof before calling police from a burner phone, claiming to be a local. The email stated they would purposely avoid houses that had veterans, seniors, or children. They said they surveilled homes using drones and wore wetsuits and hairnets to avoid leaving any DNA. A direct quote from the email: "I will pause to note how fantastical all of this sounds, because even I can't help but think as I write that it's fantastical."
Ego, ego, ego,
Yeah, you're just
ego.
like jerking off in your own email?
Yeah.
Gross.
Yeah.
Anyway, the email then admitted the group decided to take things up a notch from basic robbery to kidnapping for ransom, which feels like a real leap to me as opposed to the next obvious step. The email gave detailed information about the group learning to subdue victims using muscle stimulation devices and dog training collars, before eventually choosing stun guns as their main option. They admitted to drilling holes around a window to release the lock to enter Aaron Quinn's home. They said that they drugged both Aaron and Denise to make them more compliant, and when the entire thing was over, they planned to give the couple, quote, literature on trauma and recovery. You're just handing out pamphlets? What are you doing? The emails contained several photos of items that were supposedly used during the kidnapping, including two-way radios, flashlights, gloves, there we go, burner phones, zip ties, and a blood pressure cuff. You may recall Aaron said they told him they needed to check his blood pressure before they drugged him, because if they're going to drug him, God damn it, they're going to do it safely. There were also photos of the room where Denise was allegedly held for 2 days. After receiving all of this, Henry Lee just he kept forwarding it on to the police, who seemed to believe it was just all part of the elaborate ruse. In early June, 2 months after the home invasion, the supposed perpetrators sent another email to Henry Lee telling him police had 24 hours to issue a full and unequivocal apology to Aaron and Denise, or they'd abduct someone else. They said if forced, they would, quote, do the wrong thing for the right reasons. Then on June 5th, 10 weeks after Denise's abduction, Lin Yen called 911 to say that men had broken into her home, threatened to take her daughter, and her husband was currently outside fighting one of them. Lin and her family lived in Dublin, California, which is about 40 miles south of Vallejo. According to Lynn, she and her husband woke up to a flashlight and a laser shining in their faces. They saw a masked man dressed in black standing at the foot of their bed. He told them, "We have your daughter. She's safe." Their 22-year-old daughter, Kelly, had been asleep in the bedroom across the hall. Lynn said the man had a soft, calm voice, and he told them to turn over on their stomachs and put their hands behind their backs so he could tie them up. When her husband felt the man touch his arm, he took a swing, and while the intruder was distracted, Lynn grabbed her cell phone from the nightstand, ran to the bathroom, locked the door, and called 911. When police arrived, they found blood all over the house. Lynn's husband suffered from bruises on his arms and face, as well as a cut above an ear. He said the intruder hit him with a metal flashlight. Thankfully, Lynn and Kelly were completely unharmed. A window near the back door was open. The screen had been removed. In the bedroom, police found a black wool glove and 3 plastic zip ties. On the gravel path behind the house, police found another zip tie and a 6-inch strip of duct tape. The intruder was nowhere to be found, and police believe he fled the house through the back door and headed into the open fields, which stretch for miles behind the house. After police went through the house, Kelly gave them a cell phone she had found sitting on a cabinet in the hallway near her bedroom. No one in the family recognized it. Police determined the subscriber of the phone was a woman named Joyce Zarbak. When they contacted Joyce to say they found the phone, she said it belonged to her son, Matthew Muller. Now, there is a lot of background on Matthew Muller, and honestly, we don't have time to get into all of it. So I'm just going to hit the highlights. But if you're looking for more, I highly recommend the article by Katya Savchuk that I previously mentioned. So Muller grew up in the suburbs of Sacramento. He was a band nerd who got teased a lot for being overweight. During his senior year, Muller's parents divorced when it was discovered his father had been having an affair. After graduation, Muller enlisted in the Marines in 1995. He played trumpet in the Marine Corps band for 3 years and started a nonprofit to teach people about the internet. In 1999, Muller was deployed to the Middle East, where he earned several medals and a promotion before being honorably discharged. Muller returned to California, where he attended Pomona College and did a lot of volunteer work, helping people without housing to secure government benefits. In the summer of 2001, Muller traveled to Prague for an academic program where he met a woman from Kyrgyzstan. They married soon after he graduated, and in 2003 they moved to Boston, where he started at Harvard Law School, and she attended Boston College. While in school, Muller worked at Harvard's Legal Aid Bureau, where he focused on representing domestic violence survivors who were either low income or immigrants. After completing his law degree, Mueller taught at Harvard in the Immigration and Refugee Clinical Program. He was described as very formal, extremely knowledgeable, and intense. While at Harvard, a psychiatrist diagnosed Mueller with major depression, noting that he also showed signs of mania. Mueller said he stopped taking his medication because he didn't like the side effects. He started experiencing delusions, and things got to the point where he believed the government was tapping his phone and hacking his computer. In the summer of 2008, Mueller was diagnosed with bipolar disorder and admitted he had been struggling with disturbing thoughts since his time in the Marines. Mueller felt that a change of scenery could help his mental health, so he and his wife moved to Silicon Valley in 2009, where Mueller went into patent litigation. Mueller soon became suicidal and was put on antidepressants, which caused insomnia. His delusions started to get worse, and soon Mueller started hearing voices. He said the only thing that helped was going on long walks late at night. On one of those walks in September 2009, Mueller was stopped by police in College Terrace near the Stanford University campus. According to the police report, Mueller claimed to be a visiting professor at Stanford. 3 weeks later, police questioned Mueller about an attempted sexual assault in College Terrace, but there was not enough evidence to make an arrest. Around this time, Mueller's delusions got worse, and eventually he and his wife got a divorce in December 2012. So after finding the phone in, um, where am I? Oh, after finding the phone, they asked Joyce where her son was. And he said, well, he's staying at my cabin at South Lake Tahoe, which is a ski resort town about 190 miles northeast of Dublin. So on June 9th, shortly after 7 a.m., police arrived at the cabin and kicked down the door. Mueller was found inside, and when police asked if he knew why they were there, he simply said yes. The cabin was full of clutter. And we don't have time for me to list everything because my God, it was a lot. But we're talking zip ties, duct tape, toys, toy guns spray painted black, a set of crutches, various license plates, cans of spray paint, open bottles of wine, ski masks, gloves, partially empty bottle of NyQuil, Aaron Quinn's laptop. There was also a device for making keys. In the bedroom, police found a spiked dog training collar and a penis pump. Yeah.
Gross.
Uh, Parked near the cabin, police found the stolen white Mustang that was mentioned in the emails to Henry Lee. The GPS in the Mustang had several addresses listed, including the street in Huntington Beach where the abductor let Denise Huskins go. Inside the car, police found Mueller's passport, a metal flashlight, black gloves that matched the ones found at the Dublin crime scene, as well as receipts for a flashlight, speaker, and zip ties that were all purchased near Dublin on the night of that attempted abduction. Inside the car trunk was a BB gun, a blood pressure cuff, a camouflage tarp, and a Nerf Super Soaker spray painted black with a flashlight and laser pointer taped to it, which was exactly like the one pictured in the emails sent to Henry Lee. Also found in the trunk, a duffel bag with a blow up doll, which had been rigged with wiring so that it could be posable. But the strangest part of that, the doll's face bears a striking resemblance to Mueller himself. I'll, in the case file, I'm gonna post his picture and I'm gonna post a picture of this doll, and it's alarming how much they look alike. Um, Police also found a military style nylon belt that had two large pouches on it. Inside the pouches were two pairs of swim goggles that had black duct tape covering the lenses. Attached to one of those pairs, stuck in the duct tape, was a long blonde hair. Misty Caruso, an officer on the scene, noticed the hair and knew it couldn't be from the Dublin crime scene because none of those victims had blonde hair, and it certainly didn't belong to Muller because he had short brown hair. So Misty was convinced the hair meant that there was another victim out there who was unaccounted for. So Misty went through records and discovered that Muller had been a suspect in multiple unsolved attempted rapes between 2009 and 2012. In the summer of 2009, a 27-year-old woman in Mountain View woke around 5 a.m. to find a man on top of her. She described him as white, slim, and about 6 feet tall, saying he wore tight black clothing and a ski mask. When the woman started screaming, the man put a hand over her mouth and said he was part of a group of criminals who stole people's identities and wired money abroad. He bound the woman's hands and ankles, put swim goggles with duct tape over the lenses on her eyes, and made her drink what she believed was cough syrup. The man used the woman's phone to send messages to her boss saying she was sick and would miss work. He then told her, "I have some bad news. I'm going to rape you." The woman begged him not to, so he stopped and apologized. Before he left, the man suggested the woman get a dog to prevent anything like this ever happening to her again. When the woman reported the incident to the police, those fuckers suggested she just had a bad dream.
Oh, God.
Yeah, a bad dream, so bad that she somehow tied her own wrists and ankles. They then, further with their audacity, asked the woman's boyfriend if she was an attention seeker. This is why most women don't report rape.
Yep.
Just enraging. Less than a month later, a 32-year-old woman was sleeping in her apartment in Palo Alto. We got there. When a strange man jumped on top of her. She said he was wearing a mask, black gloves, and black spandex-like clothing. She described him as white, tall, lean, and in his 20s. The woman said the man tied her hands behind her back, bound her ankles, and covered her eyes with tape. She said the man then gave her a choice: either drink NyQuil, get shocked with a stun gun, or be injected with something he called an A-bomb. The woman chose the NyQuil, and after the man verified she wasn't allergic to any of the ingredients, he poured it down her throat. The man then tried to rape the woman, but she told him she had been raped in high school, which was a lie, but something she thought of very quickly. So he stopped and told her he didn't want her to be victimized a second time.
Fucking guy.
Before he left, the man told her he would harm her and her family if she called 911, and said it wouldn't help anyway because he had planted evidence in her apartment to purposely mislead the police. Police later discovered that this woman was a Stanford student who attended an event at Harvard in 2008, an event that was organized by Matthew Muller. He quickly became the police's main suspect. However, DNA found at the scene was not a match. Was he genuinely picking up DNA and shit from other crime scenes and dropping it there? That's terrifying to think about. In November 2012, a 26-year-old woman who lived just north of Stanford woke just after 2 a.m. to a masked man standing at the foot of her bed. She said he was wearing dark clothing and gloves. He held her down and she screamed until the man fled the scene. Once he was gone, she noticed that her computer had been moved, and that there were two bump keys near the front door. A bump key can be used to bypass almost any lock, which is also, terrifying to think about. When Misty looked into these cases, she noted none of those women had long blonde hair. So she was convinced that there was still more potential survivors out there. In the meantime, Misty contacted the owner of the stolen Mustang to say the car had been found. The owner was a medical student living in Mare Island. He said He returned from a trip in January 2015 to discover someone had taken the car keys from his house and stolen his car. When Misty told the man his car was found near a home invasion, he asked if the car was involved in the Mare Island creeper case. Since Misty is not from the area, she hadn't heard of it. Turns out between August 2014 and January 2015, at least four women on Mare Island reported seeing a man peeking in their windows late at night. At least one woman saw the man taking pictures, and another saw him descending a ladder. Two of the women lived on Kirkland Avenue, which is the same street where Aaron Quinn's house was located. The man with the stolen car mentioned that the Peeping Tom incident stopped around the time of that Vallejo hoax kidnapping. When Misty looked into the kidnapping, she saw a photo of Denise Huskins and couldn't help but notice Denise Huskins had long blonde hair, just like the hair found attached to Muller's goggles. So Misty contacts the Vallejo Police Department, believing she has potentially helped link Matthew Muller to Denise Huskins. But Vallejo PD wouldn't even take her call. She had to call repeatedly before getting an answer. When she finally did, they told her Denise's case had been transferred to FBI agent Sesma, so as far as they were concerned, it was closed. Misty contacted Sesma. She pointed out she found the potential suspect to the case that had been labeled as a hoax. Sesma said, "We never called it a hoax." I mean, the Vallejo Police Department very publicly called it a hoax, and you worked on that case with them, but I mean, sure, I guess you can deny it. Although you did personally tell Denise and her lawyer that you believed Denise was lying about what happened and copying what she had seen in the movie Gone Girl. So there is that, David. Misty said that she had the potential suspect in custody if he wanted to question him, and Sesma said, "Oh, just send me the information you have." Love that he's on top of it.
Ugh.
In September 2015, Mueller pled no contest to the charges of burglary, attempted robbery, and assault with a deadly weapon regarding the home invasion in Dublin. He was sentenced to 31 years. In March 2017, Mueller pleaded no contest to two counts of forcible rape, residential burglary, and false imprisonment regarding Denise Huskins. He was sentenced to 40 years. To this day, Mueller has never said why Andrea was supposedly his target to begin with. After Mueller pleaded guilty, the Vallejo Police Department said they would publicly apologize for how they handled Denise's case. That apology didn't come until nearly 5 years later, but we'll get to that in a moment. The day after his sentencing, Matthew Mueller got married to a woman he briefly dated in 2012. When she learned of his arrest, she visited him at the prison every week. Since their marriage, she has quit her job to file legal paperwork for Mueller pretty much full time, because it's not just him, it's also people in jail that Mueller is giving legal advice to. His wife initially made a website called GoneGirlCase.com, where she spoke about Mueller's severe mental illness and stated that his, quote, current legal predicament is only because of extended psychosis. Legal predicament is a wild way of saying rape and kidnap.
Yeah.
Mueller was later given 2 life sentences for the attempted rapes in Palo Alto and Mountain View from 2009. He denied being responsible for the attempted rape in Stanford in 2012. In November 2020, Mueller stated he believed his family had been replaced by actors who were possessed by demons and had implanted some kind of device into his body against his will. Shortly after, he was diagnosed with schizophrenia. In January 2025, Mueller was charged with 3 counts of kidnapping for ransom from an incident that occurred just 2 weeks after Denise was taken. Mueller detained 3 people and extorted tens of thousands of dollars from them. The victims didn't come forward for nearly a decade because they were scared. Mueller pleaded no contest and was given another life sentence. In June 2025, Mueller pleaded guilty to an unsolved kidnapping and sexual assault that occurred in Folsom, California in 1993 when Mueller was 16 years old. He was sentenced to 11 years to life. In 2016, Denise and Aaron sued the city of Vallejo, Detective Mustard, and Lieutenant Kenny Park for defamation. And honestly, defamation is just one of the many ways that Vallejo police absolutely botched this case from start to finish. In fact, there is a 59-page affidavit that lists all the ways the police screwed up. We don't have time to get into it all, just a few highlights. The initial police report states that two vehicles were seen leaving Aaron's house around 5 a.m. following the home invasion. Well, if Mueller was driving one vehicle, who was driving the other? We don't know. Police never followed up. Witnesses reported seeing a white male standing outside Aaron's house around the time those two vehicles left the scene. Police didn't follow up on that either. An FBI agent told Aaron that he absolutely failed his polygraph test. Well, turns out the results were actually just unknown, and the FBI agent was just lying to try and get a confession. The police report did not mention the drill holes that Aaron found near a window in his living room, or the fact that the screen from that window had been taken off and put in the garage. The report also didn't mention that Aaron told police that a set of his keys had been taken by the intruder that night. No test results were listed for any items from Aaron's home, including a potential blood stain that was found on the sheets, or any material that was gathered during Denise's rape exam. So they collected all that, didn't test it. When that potential blood stain from the bed was finally tested, it was found it wasn't a blood stain at all, but rather some sort of cough syrup. Probably like NyQuil that
Yep.
Aaron said he was forced to drink. It also seemed police didn't look for surveillance camera footage or eyewitnesses who might corroborate Denise's account of driving to Huntington Beach. And from the looks of it, Vallejo police didn't contact other jurisdictions in the area to look for similar crimes. Aaron told police the kidnappers said they would contact him with their ransom demands, and yet police brought Aaron in for an interview, took his cell phone from him, and put it on airplane mode. By the time Aaron got it back, it was nearly a day later, and he'd missed 2 calls and 2 emails from the kidnappers. These calls were later traced to within 200 meters of the cabin where Denise was being held, meaning if the police had paid attention to those calls, Denise could have been found sooner, and the police could have prevented at least one of those rapes. The city of Vallejo agreed to pay Denise and Aaron $2.5 million regarding the defamation suit, although they didn't acknowledge any wrongdoing. Not even the police chief, Andrew Bidu, who, according to insiders, told Lieutenant Park to, quote, burn that bitch right before the press conference where Park outright called Denise Huskins a liar. Bidu denies saying any such thing and retired in 2019, following a lot of criticism. Despite how badly Detective Mustard absolutely shit the bed on this case, somehow that year he was awarded Vallejo Police Department's Officer of the Year.
Gross.
And according to Aaron Quinn and his brother, who is an FBI agent, during Denise's disappearance, Mustard tried to convince Aaron's brother to pressure Aaron to confessing to murder. Mustard was made a sergeant in 2017, although according to a former police captain turned whistleblower, it turns out Mustard asked then police chief Andrew Bidu to lower the promotional exam standards for him to become a sergeant.
Good God.
Bidu allegedly changed the exam so the written portion wasn't worth as much and removed the provision that you had to get 70% or higher in order to pass. Multiple officers in the department were angry and brought their complaints to this future whistleblower, who in turn took it to the higher ups, who responded by firing this man. Not the man who did it, they fired the man who caught it and called them out on it. In 2020, Sergeant Mustard was caught making racist jokes towards a black police corporal, and on at least 2 occasions, he referred to that corporal as boy. Then in 2021, Mustard was accused of initiating the illegal destruction of 5 police shooting records, which involved police killing civilians. Mustard was the lead investigator in all 5 of those cases and was at the scene during each shooting. He personally interviewed the officers involved, and somehow the tapes of those interviews mysteriously got destroyed. Each of the 5 shootings involved at least one of the officers involved in a badge-bending scandal where a whistleblower claimed some of the officers would bend the corners of their 7-pointed police badge to commemorate shootings on the job.
Great.
The officers never received any sort of punishment for that. In fact, the only person who got punished for it was the whistleblower who got fired. Mustard never received any punishment for his misconduct. He retired in December 2024 and continues to receive his annual pension of $182,000. And just because I'm fired up about it, one of the cases that fucking Mustard tried to destroy was from 2012 and involved Mario Romero, who was fatally shot for literally just sitting in a vehicle. Mario was unarmed, and yet Officer Sean Kenny shot him 30 times. And just to add fuel to this anger fire, in 2012, in the span of 21 weeks, Officer Kenny was responsible for fatally shooting Mario and 2 other civilians. 3 civilian deaths in 21 weeks, and yet not only was he not punished in any way, he was then promoted to detective.
Duh.
According to BuzzFeed, there were 20 homicides in Vallejo in 2012. 6 of those were killed by police officers. And then 3 of those were killed by just one guy. So, it's a lot. So, speaking of police, one more thing that I have to bring up because it was not mentioned in the documentary. Aaron's ex-fiancée, Andrea Roberts, is now married to a man named Steven Ruiz. From the best I can tell, Steven is the man that Andrea cheated on Aaron with. But it seems like after that, they broke things off for a bit and then got back together years later. Andrea and Steven have at least one child together. And in 2020, Andrea tried her hand at being an influencer type by creating a Pinterest board and a blog about being a mother and the wife of a Texan. Oh, sorry. Because nothing's more exciting than basing your entire personality around a man.
Of course.
You do you. Unfortunately, it seems like she really lost the passion for it, and it only lasted a couple of months. He also had 2 older children, because she's listed as mother, stepmother, and wife. So based on the look of the age of those kids, it's possible he was with somebody having children when they had their affair to begin with. It's also possible he was single at the time. Who knows? She certainly wasn't. But the whole point of bringing this up, the thing about Steven Ruiz is during their affair, he was a police officer with Vallejo PD. And he was fired shortly before Denise Huskins was abducted. What for? An investigation determined that Steven and a second officer were allegedly using police computers to do background checks on women they were interested in dating websites.
Whoa.
Stephen denies the claims, but it's fascinating that they're like, we found information you did this, you're fired. And he went, no, I didn't. Fair enough. And just when you think it doesn't get stranger, Matthew Mueller claimed an ex-cop staged the crime to scare his girlfriend away from the ex-fiance that the girlfriend was allegedly planning to get back together with. Mueller claims the girlfriend wouldn't be harmed in any way. She would only have to hear about the crime from her coworker because the coworker would be mistaken for the girlfriend. It's the only time Mueller has ever given a potential motive for why Denise was taken. If he's referring to the ex-cop being Ruiz and the entire thing being, I mean, basically, he's essentially suggesting that Ruiz planned the entire thing to try and scare Andrea into staying away from Aaron and that she would never be harmed. She would just hear about how Denise was harmed because they worked together.
That's crazy.
We don't know if it's true, but I mean, Stephen Ruiz denies any sort of involvement with any of this. My question is just if it's not true, how did Mueller know Aaron's ex fiance ever dated a cop? Following Mueller's guilty plea in 2017, Denise Huskins and Aaron Quinn moved to the coast to try and start over. They got engaged and were married in 2018. They have since welcomed two daughters, born in 2020 and 2022, respectively. When asked about their kids, Aaron said, and I quote, trigger warning, this is beautiful. I've never done a trigger warning for something nice before. It's kind of a nice change. More than anything, I just hope they grow up to be like their mom, and if they do that, they'll be okay. Denise and Aaron still both struggle with PTSD from the home invasion, and Denise also suffers from panic attacks. The couple travel the country speaking at law enforcement events in the hopes that other police officers can learn from their experience and prevent it from happening to anyone else. In June 2021, Denise and Aaron released a book called Victim F: From Crime Victims to Suspects to Survivors. After the book was released, the Vallejo Police Department finally issued that public apology that they had promised back in 2017. However, the apology kind of feels slightly empty because it came from a captain who wasn't involved in the case in any way when it first happened. So, as of this record, no one involved in that original case has ever apologized. And why would they? The lead investigator, who once told a woman that assault victims often like to fake a second assault to relive the thrill, was not only never punished for how he treated Aaron and Denise, he was literally awarded with Officer of the Year. It's a hellscape, and we're all just living in it. Reporting for True Crime and Cocktails, I'm Christy Oxborrow.
Oh, what a fucking shit show. Listen, let's hit the can, grab a drink, and we'll be back with some final thoughts on the American Nightmare episode of True Crime and Cocktails. Two on three. One, two, three. Welcome back to this episode of True Crime and Cocktails. We're, of course, discussing American Nightmare. You know what I find so fascinating is I remember seeing the documentary about this around the same time I watched the Sherry Papini doc, one of
Sure.
them anyway. And it was just so fascinating to me that it was like two cases, similarities, and it was like one woman faking it, the other absolutely telling the truth. Like, what a weird time to be alive. Um, all right, going back to the beginning really quickly. When you called Joey Chestnut Mr. Chestnut, really enjoyed that. It's funny because I've heard of Mr. Chestnut, Joey Chestnut. I've heard of him before, but recently there's been a lot of Joey Chestnut content coming up on my feeds, and I don't know why. It's almost as though my algorithm is becoming psychic, which I don't want to think about because that's a new hellscape of a dystopian future we don't want to live in. You mentioned 81 mutton sandwiches. I want to go on record as saying I don't want to eat one mutton sandwich. And again, who's making them in bulk? Um,
yeah, the I get the entire list of everything I read that he was eating. I'm just like, how many jalapeno poppers before it stops tasting like a jalapeno popper?
I think probably about 15.
Because I can't imagine eating 118 or whatever the heck he did.
I can't imagine eating 15.
Oh yeah, I can't.
You mentioned that the police said that their house smelled freshly clean, so therefore they assumed that it must have been faked. And to that I say, folks, stay dirty. Stay messy
Hmm.
like me, because you know, if the cops are going to think that a super clean home means that you're guilty of a crime, I'm just investing in my future by staying cluttered, baby. Um,
It's
okay.
wild to be like, tell me you don't normally clean your home without telling me that you walk and you
Yeah.
go, this place is clean. Something's wrong.
Yeah.
They've just these carpets are recently vacuumed. Yeah, a girl was coming over to his
Yeah.
house. Maybe he thought, run a quick vacuum through.
Yeah, exactly. How dare he?
Yeah.
Um, the night that she was taken, that Denise was taken, she and Aaron were having a relationship talk at his house, and I wrote down, this is just proof to never go to a man's house. You should only have him to yours. Um,
Oh,
the intruders were wearing wetsuits. Well, of course, we know now it was only one intruder, but um, there is something that's very interesting about that. First of all, gross, sweaty. Second of all, it does feel like a way to try and make sure you drop none of your own DNA, right? Like if you're wearing a hairnet and a,
right.
wetsuit, if there's also gloves, then you're not going to be leaving any fingerprints, you're not going to be leaving any DNA. So do I think it's possible that he could have been planting other people's DNA, especially since there was talk about him sneaking into people's houses and like stealing old hair? Yeah, I do think that's possible. Also, a dystopian future I don't want to think about. Now you mentioned that it was that they were saving for a ski boat. Is that like a speedboat?
I assume it was just ski boat was the excuse that Mueller gave to Aaron to be able to take out money from the bank,
Yes,
just in
I
case people asked questions. But yeah, I assume it like what kind of boat do you use to water ski? A ski boat.
well,
Like
yeah,
I
that's what this
assume
is
that
saying.
was
It's a specialized high performance boat engineered to tow water skiers. All right. Never heard the expression before.
it could be
You
a geographic thing.
could be regional.
Yeah, thank
Uh,
you.
it's all
That's
right.
yep.
You mentioned, of course, the true asshole Detective Matthew Mustard, but then you also mentioned an Agent Peter French, which made me think French is mustard. Doesn't matter, Lauren. Um,
Oh, that's God, I love the way your brain works, you know? I
yeah.
love
Well,
that. That was a beautiful. And if you
uh,
think in my notes, writing Sesame, I wasn't constantly fucking up and putting sesame, it was a
yeah.
nightmare. I'm like, not everybody's a
Listen,
food.
not everybody lives on the street. You mentioned that Denise said her first concert was Bad Religion and Blink-182. I just want to remind you, we were at
Yeah.
that tour.
Yeah.
We went to Ontario Place, saw them there.
Oh, I immediately thought it. Was
Yep.
that not the show where we got partway there and realized we didn't have the tickets, so we had to turn around? Or
I
was that a
forgot
different?
about that, and absolutely yes.
He was so mad.
My high school boyfriend didn't take too kindly to that, but you know what? He should be so lucky to get to drive us. Um, he's a good boy. He's good. He's a good man. He's a man now. Doesn't matter. You of course brought up. You said they thought it was a real life Gone Girl. I wrote down shout out Ben Affleck's Wang. And I'll be honest, I'm surprised that when you talked about Gone Girl, you didn't bring up his penis being in the movie.
Was his penis in the movie? I've only seen it the once.
Christy Lynn. Yeah, man.
Like
There's a
full cock and balls?
full cock and balls. There is a
Semi-hard, all soft. I love that I'm talking about it like I'm ordering an ice cream.
Oh my God. Now it's quick, it's fast, but it's there. I listen, I saw that movie in the theater and I think it was more prevalent because, the
The
screen was bigger.
theater. Yeah.
Look it
I
up. If you
I
look up Ben Affleck Gone Girl shower scene, like it's there, man.
how
But
have
now
I
this makes more
blocked
sense.
this?
This makes more sense because I was like, how is Blanche not bringing up If she's gonna bring up Gone Girl, she's not bringing up his cock. Like, I was just surprised.
Yeah, the fact that this is now the third episode I've mentioned Gone Girl. I mean, I might write a note for myself to try and find a way just in the next episode, not mentioning Gone Girl, but just mentioning Ben Affleck's penis.
I mean, I love that for all of us. Um, I
Feels
think
organic.
one of the things that chills me the most about this story is, I mean, the psychology of Matthew Mueller. Like the fact that he was really playing the good guy with Denise. Like, I didn't want to do this. And I'm so sorry. I've got bad news. I have to rape you. Like, these things are so chilling to me. And the fact that he raped her the first time and then was like, "Oh, guess what? You actually have to be more into it for the video." Like, I think there's something especially twisted about like, no, you have to fake it and make it look like you really like it. Like, it's just something you don't often hear in in the work that we do. Like, often sexual assault is, just not I'm sure that happens. Don't get me wrong. It's just very rare to hear about like um, those kinds of specifics, mind games. Do you know what I mean? Like that's just such a
Mm-hmm.
weird, dark mind game. Really creeps me out. Um, Cops asking why she didn't scream or fight back makes me want to scream and fight back at the cops.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that one of the agents dated Andrea, why is she all over this case? There's something up, man. And I'm not saying Andrea is guilty of anything at all, but it's weird to me that she not only dated an agent, a FBI agent that was connected, but also the guy she cheated on Aaron with was a former cop who may or may not have, who knows, had some knowledge or involvement. Like, it's just odd. Again, it's like
It's
in a
too
place
much at
that's,
once.
it's a lot of
Yeah.
connections. It's a lot of connections. And the only thing I will say is it is interesting to me that these cops had it in their heads from the beginning that Denise was the problem. Denise was faking it. This whole thing was fake. When those cops would have potentially had a relationship with Ruiz, who was Andrea's guy she cheated on this guy with. Like it just feels like it's like were they just siding? Were they just brushing it off and putting a bias on these people because they were, subconsciously or consciously siding with their buddy Steve Ruiz who got fired? You know what I mean? Like
Oh.
is that why there was this like lack of care, lack of belief, like all those things? I don't know. I just think the fact also that like Detective Mustard told Denise's mom to watch Gone Girl for context. Like at that point, they hadn't found her yet. Like that's so
Correct.
crazy. She could have been dead. Can you imagine? Like how fucking disgusting and inappropriate for a cop to be like, if you want some context on what's going on with your, attention-seeking daughter, like
Mhm.
disgusting.
It's wild to me for any cop to give any sort of movie advice during a case. Like if a
Awful.
cop if on their like off time they're like a cinephile and they want to be like, well, you know what's going to get you in the heart? Forrest Gump. I can't believe that was my choice. Um, but like if that is how they want to be, fine. You want to recommend to friends, all of the above, great. Love that for you. It's mentioning it to people involved in a case to be like, you want some reference to this? Check out Stand By Me. You
I
know
don't
what I
even
mean?
know that I believe that he'd seen the movie though. Like I feel like he just had heard that it's like it's about a woman faking her own death or whatever. Like, like I don't. I love this. I just don't even want to give him the credit that he's ever watched a movie because, frankly, I don't believe that maybe he's smart enough. Um, here's something. So they found a photo of the room. Excuse me, Mueller had emailed Henry Lee, the journalist, all these things. One of the things that was
Yeah.
emailed was a photo of the room where Denise was kept. And I know that he kept forwarding them to the police and the police ignored them and didn't care. Here's something. So if you want to prove whether or not Denise is lying and you'd actually read those emails,
Yeah.
why not take the picture that was provided of the room she was kept in
Yeah.
and then take a bunch of other pictures of rooms that are similar and make a photo lineup and say, can you tell us which one is the room you were kept in? Here's a couple things. One, if she can't, then it could prove that this person emailing the journalist was a liar. Two,
Yep.
if she can, I don't know. That proves that there's truth to what was happening in the emails and proof that she wasn't lying. Like, that's just such an easy thing to do. But
Yeah.
again, I'm talking in ways that are logical and reasonable and not tied up in misogyny and corruption. Um, the attempted abduction. What I find interesting about Mueller too is like he pulled off the first one. Now I know he's also committed a lot of other crimes, don't get me wrong. But the fact that the next one was such a disaster for him is interesting. And I'm
Mm.
going to say it, it's the same thing that happens so often with serial killers. He went after a home where there was three people. There was the mother, the father, and the daughter. What you doing, bud? It's because you upped your own ante. You fucked with your own
Oh,
MO. If you had taken more time, now again, I'm not trying to say he should have. I'm thank God he was foiled, but it's just interesting to me to pull one off so to execute it so well and then completely shit the bed at the next, leaving your phone at the scene of a crime. The only other thing is, I'm like, did he want to get caught? Because as we know, he was like
oh,
really wanting credit for all of this, which is part of his delusion and mental illness, I'm sure. Also, got to point out this man is a lawyer. He has been to a lot of schooling and he still uses a phone his mother bought.
yeah,
There's no way this was like the same phone that she would have bought him in high school because he's an adult man and cell phone technology has improved. I
yeah.
just can't. I just can't. Um, the other thing, the stories of the attempted rapes that he had been through, there's something that's so fascinating to me about, psychologist hat on about Mueller because he has this really weird hero complex. Again, I think there's like such severe mental illness happening here in his
Mm.
schizophrenia and whatnot that it's like it's just interesting that it manifests for him in like still wanting to be a good guy in his own mind.
Sure.
Like obviously he's a bad guy, goes without saying, but like the way he's like he let some of the women talk him out of it potentially, whether that whether he's admitted those crimes or not. It's just interesting. I think it's like interesting psychology for all of this. But then, the final thing I just have to say is I was watching um my Nightmare X, Worst X, whatever it is, the Netflix series. Uh and the first one was about Wade Wilson, which
Mm.
often known as the Deadpool killer. Um we've talked about him at times on the show. We didn't do a Wade Wilson episode,
We
right?
haven't yet,
Yeah.
no, but I
Well,
can only
it-
assume at some point.
well, yeah, because wait for it. Get ready to rage. So there is a woman he was dating who he kidnapped and sexually assaulted in the back of a vehicle, and she went to the police, and the police detective just didn't believe her. And there is like interrogation room footage of him going in to meet Wade Wilson and out of the gate saying, "Hey man, I know you didn't do this. I just want to make this go away. I just want to make this go away for you. I know you didn't do it." He absolutely did it. And here's the thing we all know. He then went on to kill two women. If that cop had literally just believed that woman, or here's the
Mhm.
thing, not even here, how about this? You didn't even have to believe her, bud. How about you just investigated? How about you
Yeah,
just gave her the benefit of the doubt that maybe she's telling the truth
yeah,
and just done your fucking job? You could have saved two women's lives. But
a hundred
no, it is a
percent.
tale as old as time we hear on this show, and it fires me up too. It is so disgusting. And the fact again that it's like, why would you ever expect any woman to want to disclose and report when it's never believed, where it's always about trying to poke holes in the story? The rhetoric that this fucking mustard piece of shit spews throughout this is so fucking vile.
Mhm.
I'm so sorry, but like insinuating in any way that like a woman who's been sexual assaulted will lie about it to try and recreate the thrill. I honestly hope his dick gets ripped off and fed to fucking Joey Chestnut in an all you can eat dick conversation competition.
I like that Joey Chestnut came back to this, and what you're gonna love is I don't think Joey would go for it. He's never gonna
Ah,
get a
no.
world record for
Let
one.
me let me rewrite the joke. Let me rewrite the joke.
Got it.
I hope that someone rips off fucking Detective Mustard's dick and slips it into one of the hot dogs, which is accidentally eaten by Joey Chestnut in less than a half an hour in some sort of hot dog eating contest. There it is. It had to be accidentally slipped in. Again, I just needed a beat. I needed a beat to workshop the joke.
Of course. Of course.
Reporting for True Crime and Cocktails, I'm Lauren Ash.
Yeah, it gets tough to try and figure out a way to like basically say goodnight, do a send off, when you're just fully full of rage.
Well, listen, you do it beautifully
Ugh.
all the time. Um, Thank you for listening with us, dear listeners. If you haven't already, give us a follow on the socials on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at True Crime and Cocktails, on Twitter at Not Detectives. If you'd like some bonus content and to vote in our monthly poll for episodes like this, go to patreon.com/True Crime and Cocktails to learn more about our subscription-based service over there. And of course, the only place for True Crime and Cocktails merch is, of course, truecrewmerch.com. So check that out if you're interested. Also, I'm performing in Toronto June 13th at Supermarket. You can get tickets to that show at the links in my bio or my website, laurenash.band. And please, if you haven't already, take 30 seconds and vote for me. There's a little link in my bio and on my website again to vote for me for the People's Choice Award, the Prime People's Choice Awards at North by Northeast. Your vote would mean a lot to me. Christy, do you want to tell the people about next week's episode?
Well, next week there's not one,
That's right.
if I am recalling correctly.
I think
So
so.
nothing on June the 2nd, but on the June 9th episode of True Crime and Cocktails, Anita Knutson.
Another case I know nothing about and can't wait to learn about from my best gal. Christy, do you want to say goodnight to the people?
Oh, um, you know, I was gonna make a joke about Ben Affleck's penis, but I don't deserve it because I don't remember it. So I'm going to go with good night to all the fellow adult art campers.
And I'm going to say goodnight to Ben Affleck's penis.